Hey Falcon fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Atlanta Falcons Today. We're going to jump into your mailbag questions because it's the weekend. So our subscribers have, of course, asked us mailbag questions. We're going to get into those in just 1 second. First, though, make sure you guys are subscribed to get into our next mailbag. Again, we've grown pretty quick. We're almost at 3,000 subs here on the channel. But if you want to get your questions answered for next week's mailbag, then go down below, use the hashtag Falcons, ask away, but also go ahead and subscribe by hitting that red button down below. Let's jump into our first question here from Archangel, who says, how many years left does Matt Ryan have to prove himself to the Falcons before they possibly grab a rookie quarterback in the draft or grab one from another team? There's no need for him to prove himself to the Falcons. I think it's just kind of a age denigration sort of thing in terms of your question. I'll say this. The Falcons will draft a quarterback in 2022. The question is just going to be how high up in the draft, right? Are they going to wait to the second or third round and get someone like, how Trask was this year? I thought Atlanta should go ahead and draft, let him start to groom behind Matt Ryan. They chose not to for whatever reason. Kind of strange, but still. So they go with that route, a second, third round draft pick, a mid-round guy that you build behind Matt Ryan for another 2 years, or do you go ahead and go to the top of the draft and take one of the top quarterbacks in the 2021 NFL draft? Before I show you those top 5 quarterbacks that I think are going to be there next year who Atlanta could go ahead and look at, I think Matt Ryan has 2 years left. I think this year and next year will be the final 2 years of Matt Ryan's time in Atlanta. That can get expedited if he's garbage this year, but I don't predict that. I'm not expecting that, and so I say 2 more years left for Matt Ryan. Now, if they want to draft a quarterback at the top of the first round, like they want to be in the top 10 and go get one of the best quarterbacks, here are my top 5. I think Spencer Rattler's going to have a good year at Oklahoma. He didn't have a very good year last year, but he has the tools, right? He has that Jalen Hurts being able to move with the football, but also be able to throw and win from the pocket. I think he's going to burst onto the scene here in his second season with the Oklahoma Sooners and be the number 1 pick. Maybe not the number 1 pick, but the number 1 quarterback in this draft. Sam Howell is obviously getting a lot of hype out of USC. They make comparisons to Baker Mayfield. He could be the number 1 quarterback in this draft. Of course, if Rattler were to struggle, I put him, though, right now at number 2. And, of course, you got guys like Desmond Ridder you hear out of Cincy. I'll throw JT Daniels, though, in my top 5. I think Daniels has a good year at UGA. Came in as a starter later on in the season last year at Georgia and played very, very well. Most of you Falcon fans are Dog fans as well. You understand what I'm talking about. I think Daniels has a big year as one of the better rosters in the SEC. They win a lot of games. He gets a lot of hype, and he'll be a first-round draft pick next year. Maybe a second-round draft pick, but I think Daniels has a lot of great NFL qualities. And so I'll say any one of those 5 could be a possibility for the Falcons. But again, Matt Ryan this year, I think he should have gotten a quarterback this year. They chose not to, and so we're going to sit back and go ahead and hopefully draft one next year, and I think that they will go ahead and do that. What do you guys think? Be a pinned comment down below. Will the Falcons draft a quarterback in 2022? What do you think? Type Y down below for yes, or go ahead and type N down below for no, although I'll say yes. All right, next question here comes via I don't care who you voted for, who had a question last week because I like the name so much. Here we go. I think Pitts will eat up Julio's numbers, and Calvin Ridley doesn't get his due respect as a serious game-changing receiver. I hate to say it, but I think a lot of overreaction to Julio Jones' departure. Do you agree? Yeah, I do, right? And you guys know that I work in local sports radio here in Atlanta, and obviously they talked a lot about, about Julio Jones, and rightfully so. I mean, there are people who didn't want us to talk about Julio Jones, even on this channel. It's like, why are you still talking about Julio Jones? Julio Jones is still a massive, massive icon in the city of Atlanta, and the best probably player the Falcons have had in the past 10 years, 15 years, whatever you want to say. But, as you mentioned, Julio's decline was easy to see. And there were a lot of people in Atlanta that didn't want to see Julio's decline, just saying, oh, well, he's injured, he's still himself. I think even when he's healthy, there's been a little bit of a decline. Now, the health has been the main reason for the decline, but still, the decline, in my opinion, was overall easy to see, and so that made it easier for me in terms of Julio getting traded, because I think the Falcons got good return for the investment, and obviously, as you mentioned, Ridley seems ready to go as wide receiver number 1. I think Pitts is going to eat up a lot of numbers. I don't know if they're Julio Jones's numbers, but he's going to get a lot of targets. I mean, this is a guy who people are just raving about. I mean, George Kittle was on Part of My Take a couple of days ago and basically said that Pitts should have been the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And if Kittle is saying that, who is one of the best, if not the best tight ends in the league, it just tells you something about how good this kid's going to be. And so I agree. I agree with everything you said there. I think the overreaction for Julio's departure was a little bit overblown. It was understandable early, but it dragged on, for a couple of weeks. And it was just like, man, I mean, I'm kind of done with talking about Julio Jones. But either way, I am excited about Pitts and what he's going to go ahead and bring to the table this year. Okay, if we're going to keep going here, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as we just reached 2,500 subs. We're at 2,610 subscribers. We're getting our way towards 3K. If you're not subscribed or you want to get a mailbag question in for next week's video, go down below and hit that red subscribe button. It helps us out and gives us more opportunities to create content and videos for you guys here on the channel. I'll jump into our next question here. It is Ian Wilkerson who says, how's Justin Houston these days? Good question. He's a free agent. I've read some stuff saying Baltimore is interested. I read some stuff saying he could re-sign with Indy. I'll say this. this is between you and me. The Falcons should sign Justin Houston. Like, literally. Now, we talked about this with Melvin Ingram last week, but I did my research, right? I went Houston versus Ingram. Who would I rather have? And I put them side by side. I looked at all the stats and the numbers. Houston's better. Houston had 8 sacks last year, and despite being 34 years old, or however old he is, 33, 34, he's played 32 games the last 2 seasons. Like, he's been healthy, which is the big knock on, obviously, a guy like a Melvin Ingram or Jadeveon Clowney. Houston has been healthy, and so I sit back and I go, 8 sacks last year. Put 8 sacks in last year's Falcons pass rush, or put 8 sacks this year in the Falcons pass rush. That's huge. And we understand about the Falcons pass rush. It's like I'm not going to hide about how absolutely terrible it is overall. And so, with that being said, I will go with the full endorsement of signing Justin Houston. I think they should 100% go out right now and sign Justin Houston. He, to me, is going to be a good pickup, and they could do it. I mean, they could move some money around. He's not that expensive. So I would go ahead right now and sign Justin Houston. All right, quick shout out to our friends at Newsbreak and the Newsbreak app. Again, if you guys are Falcon fans and want the latest and greatest Falcons content, or just the latest and greatest Falcons content, or normal content in the state of Georgia or wherever you live, go to chatsports.com/FalconsNB and download the Falcons Newsbreak app right now, and then follow us. Just search in the little search box, you'll see it, Falcons Today by Chat Sports, and all of our content will go ahead and populate, giving you guys the latest and greatest Falcons news and rumors, all the touch of a button on the Newsbreak app. So, go down below and click the little button to the link, chatsports.com/FalconsNB, to go ahead and pick up the Falcons the Newsbreak app in terms of downloading that, and then follow us, Falcons Today by Chat Sports. All right, more mailbag questions here. Nothing But Topics says, this is the best Falcons channel on YouTube. Thank you. My question is, can the Falcons sign Mitchell Schwartz? I've gotten the Mitchell Schwartz question the past couple of weeks, and I don't really understand it, right? Now, if you sign Mitchell Schwartz, who is a right tackle and can play both right and left side, but would probably stay on the right side, that means you're not going to play Caleb McGarry. Like, are we already out on Caleb McGarry? That's the question I have for you, right? Are we already done with Caleb McGarry? Because if we are, then that's a huge draft bust. 2 years ago, first-round draft pick, they traded back into the first-round draft pick to pick him up. So I think Schwartz is a player, still dealing with the back injury right now. Obviously, the reason why he's a free agent, he's got to get the back healthy. It's why he's unsigned. But I'm out. I mean, I'm much rather have Caleb McGarry. I've talked to Caleb McGarry. I've stood next to him at Falcons training camp. He's a massive human being. He's huge, way bigger than Chris Lindstrom. Lindstrom's a small right guard. McGarry is massive. I'd much rather have McGarry. Nothing against Schwartz. Again, really good player. Obviously, his time at Kansas City, brother of Jeff Schwartz, who I've met at Panthers training camp, who's also a really good guy. But I'm out on the back injury, and I'm just out on dumping on Caleb McGarry this early on in his career. Like, he needs to turn out to be good, and I hope that he does. What's your confidence level in the Falcons' offensive line? Like, I'm feeling pretty good about it, and I don't know if I feel like a 10 out of 10. I'm more like a 7 out of 10, but I feel pretty good about the Falcons' offensive line. Give me your thoughts on your confidence level in the Falcons' offensive line. Go down below in the comments section right now. Okay, we'll go one more here. Mafi says, Thomas Mott, player comparison from Mykal Walker. What do you think his ceiling/floor is? Okay, Walker was, a good addition. I think Walker is up and coming right now in the league. I don't know if I have a player comparison for you. He is quick, but he's also got good size. I gotta think about a player comparison, but I think that the ceiling and floor is going to be a good starter this year. I think if you currently take what he did last year, in just 6 starts. He didn't get the full 16-game season, but he still had 45 tackles and a TFL and a forced fumble and a couple of pass rushes where he was able to come off the edge from a linebacking rushing standpoint, get to quarterbacks. And the pick 6 of Deion Jones against the Raiders was all basically because of what Walker was able to go ahead and do. I think the Falcons linebacking core has a lot of stability right now, and I love that, right? Walker on the outside, Deion Jones, then Foye Oluokun, who played really well last year. Big fan of Oluokun. I think overall, it's a very steady group, and it's a group that we can feel very confident in. I like the Falcons' defense if you just had a pass rusher, right? Now, if they had drafted one, that'd be one thing. If they signed Justin Houston, that's another thing. But I think overall, from a back end, right, linebacker and on back, I think the Falcons' the Falcons' defense is going to be pretty good overall. The pass rush is going to be the big problem. Okay, before we go ahead and end here, make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel and use the hashtag Falcons to get a mailbag question answers. Go down below, type hashtag Falcons, as you saw everyone who got their question answered in today's video did. Go down below, ask your question, we'll pull that most likely for next week's video. Again, ultimate for today here on Atlanta Falcons Today. I'm your host, Thomas Mott, as we go ahead and sign off the rest of your day.